Shema Israel, YAHUAH Eloheinu, YAHUAH Eloheinu Achad. Shema Israel, Shema Israel, YAHUAH Eloheinu, YAHUAH Eloheinu
And it will be when Yahuwah your Elohim brings you into the land of which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Jacob, to give you great and good cities which you did not build, and houses filled with all kinds of goods which you did not fill, and wells dug which you did not dig, vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant, and you shall eat and be satisfied. Be on guard lest you forget Yahuwah, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, from the house of bondage. Fear Yahuwah your Elohim and serve him, and swear by his name. The Shema is a statement of faith. It is a declaration of faith. So Yah has always asked for faith first. Always. It is a misconception. It is a lie to think that Yah is different in the New Testament than he is from the Old Testament. He has always required faith first, and obedience follows. Deuteronomy 6 is our statement of faith. Because when these words were spoken, when this very statement was made, that Yah would be bringing us into a land, bringing us and moving us into homes we didn't build, and gardens we didn't plant, with wells we didn't dig, you have to think about where they were. They were in the wilderness. They left Egypt. They were in the middle of nowhere. And yet they were declaring that one day, and it was actually 40 years for them, and some, actually that generation, never made it to see the promised land because of their rebelliousness, stiff-heartedness, and basically they sinned. They never got to see the promised land. A few thousand, several thousand. But this was a statement of faith. Do you think that that statement of faith only applied to them coming out of Egypt, spending some time in the wilderness, living in tents? Did they eventually make it to the promised land? They did. Was it the promised land? No. That's what we're still waiting for. And that's why the Shema is our own declaration of faith, because we are still waiting for the promised land. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was going to receive as an inheritance. He went out without knowing where he was going. By faith he lived in the land he had been promised as a stranger. He lived in tents along with Isaac and Jacob, who were co-heirs of the same promise. He was looking forward to a city that has foundations, whose architect and builder is YAHUAH. Do you understand what just happened? Abraham, who was not Jewish, when he encountered YAHUAH, and YAHUAH told him, get up, leave your whole family, or basically leave your land. I'm going to take you and I'm going to guide you to a land you're going to go. Don't ask questions, just follow me. He picked up his belongings, everything maybe that he had, and went. And he went on a journey. And do you know where he ended up? He ended up in the promised land. At least 430 years before the children of Israel got to that land. Abraham got to the promised land. He set up camp in the promised land. But guys, this isn't the promised land. Yeah, it's really promising. This is a foreshadowing. The promised land is the New Jerusalem. That's why once Abraham pitched tent and settled there in that land, he looked up because Yah gave him the gospel. Yah explained everything that would happen in the future. And Yah told him about the coming incorruptible city, the New Jerusalem. He looked forward for a city whose architect and builder is YAHUAH. Later on, the children of Israel were going to be on a similar journey coming out of Egypt, living in tents, this is why it's significant to observe the holiday, his biblical feast, the Moedim of Sukkot, Feast of Tabernacles, where we take a week to live, camp in tents. It is a statement of faith. And even now, what tent do we put on? Not only do we celebrate it by observing this holiday and actually setting up a camp, but this is also talking about our physical bodies, our flesh, the tent. And we're looking forward to a city whose builder and architect is YAHUAH in the New Jerusalem. You see, a lot of people think that maybe the New Testament is only by faith, and for some reason there's this misunderstanding that the Old Testament is, for some reason, law or works-based. No, Yah is consistent. For us to suggest that he's a completely different Elohim in the New Testament, or that he kind of changed his rules and standards, doesn't make him a fair, just Elohim. He is consistent and he is cyclical. Everything he says is cyclical. He spoke this once and it applies over and over again. And that's why we celebrate Sukkot. And so the Shema, hear, O Israel, YAHUAH is our Elohim, YAHUAH is one. That is our declaration of faith. It's a statement of faith. It's not just something that we're repeating. It's literally us telling our Abba that I believe you are Elohim creator. I believe you exist. And because I believe in you, I believe you are who you say you are. I believe the promises that you've given to us. Therefore, I choose to obey everything that you have written. That is why Abba Yah instructs us to write his name and his instructions on our forehead and to tie it around our hands and our arms. You see, in the original Paleo-Hebrew, which is the language Yah used, the symbol, the letter for the hand is Yod, which means hand or arm, and it means to do a work or a deed. We do his good works. We do his deeds by obedience to him and keeping his commandments. What was it that Messiah told us? If you love me, keep my commandments. YAHUSHA, the Messiah, he actually categorized all of the commandments into two. You love Yahuwah and you love others. But he never abolished the rest of those laws. We are to carry that within our minds and in our hearts and love others and carry it out in our deeds. You see, if we really loved Yah, if we really loved him, we would keep all of his commandments. We would be faithful. And his instructions are protective. They protect us. We stay within his protection by abiding in him. I really hope you're wondering about the mark of the beast, because Yah has his marks. And as you can see, Yah's marks are on our forehead and on our hand, and the beast also has marks on the forehead and on the hand. However, this video is not on the mark of the beast, nor is it on Yah's marks. But Yah does have his marks. And if you are sealed with Yah's marks, you will not be marked by the beast. You won't be taking on the mark of the beast. But I do want this to ring a bell and for you to start considering that the marks of Yah are found in Deuteronomy 6. It is his Torah. It is the Shema. It is his commandments. It is his holidays found in Leviticus 23. It is his Sabbaths, his Sabbath days. It is his name. Even so, Abraham did believe Elohim, and it was reckoned unto him as righteousness. Know then that those who are of faith are sons of Abraham. And the scriptures, having foreseen that Elohim would declare right the nations by belief, announced the good news to Abraham beforehand, saying, all the nations shall be blessed in you, so that those who are of faith are blessed with Abraham, the believer. The author of the book of Hebrews then turns our attention to everyone else that wasn't Abraham, saying that all these people died in faith without receiving the promises, but they saw the promises from a distance and welcomed them. They confessed that they were strangers and immigrants on earth. People who say this kind of thing make it clear that they are looking for a homeland. If they had been thinking about the country that they had left, they would have had the opportunity to return to it. But at this point in time, they're longing for a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore, Yah isn't ashamed to be called their Elohim. You see, we need the faith of Abraham. We need the faith of the Israelites who recited the Shema. That's why we celebrate and observe the biblical Moedim holiday of Sukkot, where they expected, they were looking forward to the promised land. Once they got into the promised land, they looked back to remember how Yah delivered them, how Yah saved them out of the land of Egypt. They remembered back how they were longing, how it took 40 years to get to the land that they were in now. And even then, while they were in the land, while they were looking back, they were also looking forward to the New Jerusalem, to the city whose builder and architect is YAHUAH. Shaul, also known as Paul as his Greek Latinized name, knew about this faith and pointed us back to this faith, reminded us about Abraham's faith. And that's why he writes in Philippians 3, when you're considering how we came out of our lives, how we came out of our old self, out of our old lives before YAHUAH intervened. Shaul writes, if anyone else has reason to put their confidence in physical advantages, I have even more. I was circumcised on the 8th day. I am from the people of Israel and the tribe of Benjamin. I am a Hebrew of Hebrews. With respect to observing the law, I am a Pharisee. With respect to devotion to faith, I harassed the church. With respect to righteousness under the law, I am blameless. These things were my assets. They made me. They were my successes. But I wrote them off as a loss for the sake of Messiah. But even beyond that, I consider everything a loss in comparison with the superior value of knowing Yahushua, my master. I've lost everything for him. But what I've lost, I think of as sewer trash. It's crap. So that I might gain Messiah and be found in him. In Yahushua, I have a righteousness that is not my own and that does not come from the Pharisaic Judaic law, but only rather from the faithfulness of Messiah. It is the righteousness of Elohim that is based on faith. The righteousness that I have comes from knowing Messiah, the power of his resurrection, and the participation in his sufferings. It includes being conformed to his death so that I may perhaps reach the goal of the resurrection of the dead. It's not that I've already reached this goal or have already been perfected, but I pursue it. I press on so that I may grab hold of it because YAHUAH grabbed hold of me for this purpose. Brothers and sisters, I myself don't think I've reached it, but I do this one thing. I forget about the things behind me and reach out for the things ahead of me. The goal I pursue is the prize of Yahuwah's upward call in Messiah. So all of us who are spiritually mature should think this way. And if anyone thinks differently, Yahuwah will reveal it to him or her. Only let's live in a way that is consistent with whatever level we have reached. Paul, Shaul, came out of religion. He came out of man-made traditions. He came out of Judaism. And he began to follow Yahushua Messiah, the way Yahuwah always intended. No religion, no Judaism, no Christianity. Just follow the way. Follow Yahuwah. Follow his instructions. You see, the Pharisees, Judaism was a man-made religion with a bunch of rules and their own sets of laws that they considered righteousness, traditions, rules, religions that were not of Yah, that were man-made, and it was their own man-made attempt at getting and obtaining righteousness in the eyes of Yahuwah. And we know that that's not the way. Faith in Yahuwah, believing that he is, that he was, and he is to come, and believing on the Son of Yahuwah, whose name is Yahusha or Yeshua, that requires faith. You can't acknowledge the Son. You can't even acknowledge Yahuwah, Elohim, Creator, without faith first. And then once we decide, yeah, I want to be in covenant with him, I want to follow him, I want to make him my Elohim, I want to make him my God, I want him, since he's the only God that there is and exists. Then, after we make that declaration of faith, then the next thing to do is walk in his commandments, walk in his Torah. And that's exactly what Yahushua, Yeshua, the Messiah, did. He exemplified it, he modeled it, he tells us the way to go, he points us back to the Father's Torah, his instructions. He is our example. But this all starts with faith, because even today in 2021, going to be 2022, that is the Shema, our declaration of faith. And if you don't know the Shema, go look it up in Deuteronomy 6. It's literally our acknowledgement, our confession of faith. We believe you are Elohim, Creator. Yahuwah is your name. You are one. And because we believe that you are, we choose to love you with all our hearts, with all our minds, with all our soul, and with all our strength. We commit to teaching your instructions and who you are, Yahuwah, to our children. We're going to talk about it when we're in our house, when we lie down, when we rise up, when we're on our way, when we're just walking out. We're going to keep your words, your commandments, your name, your instructions on our hearts, on our minds. Always, we're going to do them. We promise you. Basically, it's the wedding vows, because we are a bride. These are the marriage vows. And when we enter into covenant with Yahuwah, we make his instructions, the Shema, our wedding vows. So Shema, hear and obey, Israel. We who are grafted in are Israel by faith, according to the promises given to Abraham. So I ask you, are you going to Shema Yahuwah?
Elohim.